Hello, good day everyone. So for today's video, I'm going to tackle about a parasite. So this parasite is what we called Trypanosoma brucei rhodesiense. But before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Janelet Beltran, second year college at St. John Paul II College of Davao, and this video is the final project for our subject Microbiology and Parasitology under the teaching of Miss Generos Paras, our professor. And now let's start. So this video will discuss about the description, distribution, habitat, morphology, life cycle, pathogenesis and clinical features, immunity, diagnosis, signs and symptoms, treatment, and as well as the prevention. What is Trypanosoma brucei rhodesiense? Trypanosoma brucei rhodesiense is a protozoan parasite that cause the lethal human disease African sleeping sickness or human African trypanosomiasis. And just a brief background about this disease. So, human African trypanosomiasis threatens 65 million people and animal and makes large areas of farmland unusable. Trypanosomiasis is transmitted by the tsetse fly, which is found only in rural Africa, specifically in sub-Saharan Africa. So you can acquire the disease when you are bitten with an infected tsetse fly. And when you are infected with a disease, you can pass it through bloodborne, congenital, sexual, and transfusion or transplantation transmission that are very rare. And if you are wondering why this parasite comes up with its name, so Trypanosoma brucei rhodesiense was named after Rhodesia, which in turn was named after the British imperialist and white supremacist Cecil Rhodes. And now let's proceed to the distribution. So this part will tackle about where the parasite mostly distributed. As you can see at the figure, there are two types of trypanosomiasis. The West African trypanosomiasis, which is caused by the Trypanosoma brucei gambiense, and the East African trypanosomiasis, which is caused by the Trypanosoma brucei rhodesiense. But in this video, I will just focus on the distribution of the East African trypanosomiasis. African trypanosomiasis or the East African trypanosomiasis is endemic to rural sub-Saharan Africa. It is reported from eastern and southeastern Africa, mainly at Malawi, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. In short, the parasite Trypanosoma brucei rhodesiense is only distributed at Africa. And now let's proceed to its habitat. So it is prevalent in southern and eastern Africa. And the domestic cattle are thought to be the most epidemiologically relevant animals to be reservoir of TB rhodesiense. So if it is in the body of an host, it lives in the blood, lymphatic system, and interstitial spaces of organs. And just to add, the intermediate host of this parasite is the tsetse fly. And now let's jump into the morphology of the parasite. So it exists in two interchangeable forms. The first one is the trypomastigote, which is the flagellated stage of trypanosomes, which can be found in the peripheral blood, the lymph tissue space of various organs, and the CNS. And the second one is the epimastigote. So this is the replicating form, which can be found in the salivary glands of vector and culture media. So trypomastigotes or the polymorphic trypanosomes have spindle-shaped central nucleus, free flagellum, and an undulating membrane is present. And the trypomastigote have three form. The long slender form, which represent as an active motile with free flagellum. The second one is the short stumpy form, which represent as the sluggish without free flagellum. And the third one is the intermediate form, which is represent with a short free flagellum. And now let's proceed to the life cycle of the parasite. So the first one is the chacha takes a blood meal. So the chacha injects metacyclic trypomastigotes. So it takes blood from you and injected the metacyclic trypomastigote. And then after it injected, it transformed into bloodstream trypomastigotes, and then it carried siya into the other sites such as the lymph and spinal fluid. And then after that one, the trypomastigotes multiply. So it multiply by binary fission. So iyang hati-hation iyang sariling katawan para managhan siya sa imuhang bloodstream or sa imuhang body fluids. And then, so that's it. Ang trypomastigotes is na sa imong blood. And then after that one is, if ang chacha-fly again is mag-take of blood meal from you, so if katong chacha-fly is dili siya carrier sa Trypanosoma brucei rhodesiense, makuha niya ang katong parasite sa imuhang blood. So if katong chacha-fly is naana siya or nakuha niya ang trypomastigotes sa imuhang bloodstream, i-transform niya to into procyclic trypomastigote, and then mag-multiply na sa to into binary fission. And then after that one, if ang procyclic trypomastigote is mahuman na, mag-transform na sa tong kato siya into epimastigote. And then if katong epimastigote is mag-multiply sa salivary gland, tapos i-transform na sa tong epimastigote into metacyclic trypomastigotes. And then katong metacyclic trypomastigotes again is mao na to siya ang katong infective stage sa chacha-fly, which is katong first stage. And now let's proceed to the pathogenesis and clinical features. So it has four parts: the incubation period, and then after that one, it goes through via lymphatics, via bloodstream, and then invasion of the CNS. And it is depicted in the pictures, the clinical features of having trypanosomiasis. And now the immunity. So the parasite uses antigenic variation to avoid eliminated by the host. And then during the early stage of the trypanosome, the host releases strong Th1, and then the skin also releases neutrophils and NK cells to fight against the parasite. So these are the diagnostic tests that is used to check if you have the parasite. And then these are the signs and symptoms. It has two stages: the first stage symptoms and the late stage symptoms. So the difference between the first stage symptoms and the late stage symptoms is that the first stage symptoms only affected the bloodstream or the body fluids, while the late stage symptoms affects the CNS. And now for the treatment. So there is no available vaccine to treat East African trypanosomiasis, but it has pharmacologic therapy such as the suramine and the millarceprol. So both are given through IV, and the suramine is to treat the first stage, while the millarceprol is the only drug available for treating the second stage. And now, last but not the least, the prevention. So per individual, they should avoid contact with flies. They should be more strict with their clothing, avoid bushes, and do not rely with repellents because it's not that effective. And then there is no vaccine or prophylactic available for the disease. And for the community, such as the World Health Organization, the NGOs and all, so they should be more focused on reducing people with disease. So they should be more strict with the surveillance, diagnosis, and treatment. And then they should also control the Cheshire fly production. So should start having traps and insecticides. And that's all for this video. Thank you!